Josie, thank you so very much for jumping on.
It's great to be here, James.
You're a remarkable person, and I've had the pleasure of sitting down with you many times, and it's been a challenging road, and I think we can't argue that adversity is what makes you, and what you've achieved and what you've overcome is pretty remarkable. But can you sort of tell us what has happened probably in the last, say, 10 to 20 years?
How long have we got? I'll just give you a summary. So I've had cancer a couple of times. I was told I couldn't walk or talk again properly after cranial surgery back in 2010. As a consequence of that, I have scar tissue in my brain that's now created another condition that affects the whole right side of my body and um, has damaged my autonomic nervous system, which is pretty central to our functioning
Yeah.
in everyday life. Um, as a consequence of that, I've had a couple of treatments in hospital with ketamine, and the last round in 2023 resulted in some significant damage to my body. And I also experienced, another near-death experience. I actually died and had some pretty profound revelations as a consequence of that. So life is constantly throwing trials and challenges in front of me, and I know I'm not the only one. And it doesn't have to be so drastic like some of these health things that I've confronted. I think that's just my soul contract. Everyone has their own trials and challenges in their lives. And I think to pick up on what you said, James, these are opportunities and invitations for us to grow
Yeah.
and for us to learn things about ourselves that we didn't realize before, that we actually are capable, more capable than we realized.
Yeah.
But we don't actually we don't realize that until we get tested. There's no
Yeah.
growth in our comfort zone, right?
That's right. Diamonds are built under pressure.
I
And
like that.
yeah, and it's interesting, even in the face of adversity, you always have an optimistic mind and a different outlook on life. And, for someone that has just gone through so much and yet you look at life differently in such a more optimistic way, how do you maintain resiliency in the face of adversity? How do you overcome that?
You know what? We've always got a choice. We don't get to control what happens around us. There's a lot of things that happens in life that we have no control over. But the one thing that we have absolute command over is how we respond,
Yeah.
right? But if we don't have emotional regulation, what we will do is just have reactions to situations without properly considering the consequence. And so we need to be able to press pause. Just because you feel like telling someone to F off doesn't mean you necessarily should. Just because you want to throw something at someone, you know, doesn't mean you necessarily should. So if you have that ability to just press pause and observe what's going on, notice that you're being triggered and notice that you have a choice. Yeah, sure, you can do those things, but it's not going to end nicely and you're not going to feel real good about it either. So
Yeah.
by pressing pause, just taking 3 breaths, seriously, that's all it takes. 3 deep breaths, you get to just calm your farm, center yourself, get some clarity happening, and get the hell out of that situation if it doesn't feel safe or good for you. And you can do it in a very kind manner. You don't have to hurt or harm anyone with your words or your actions. You can simply say, you know what, something doesn't feel right for me here. I'm just going to go.
Yes. You said to me once, where focus where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
In other words, you have complete control on how you handle a situation. So you can't control your external situation or your environment, but you can control on how you react to certain things. So it's interesting. I mean, we have a lot of negativity, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of noise outside. What would be the one piece of advice that you could give to someone? Because I think it takes up to 5 positive thoughts to kind of counter a negative one. Is that correct?
So there's 2 points there, and I'll take them individually. The first one around where focus goes, energy flows. Yeah. What that means is whatever you give your focus to grows,
Yeah.
right? You're amplifying it. And unfortunately, there is a lot of noise out there, and there is a lot of stuff that can make you feel quite fearful or frightened or not safe, right? Feeling threatened. And when that happens, the brain has a default response. And the default response is, make me feel safe. I don't like that. And so the second you focus on what you don't want, remember focus and energy, when you focus on not feeling threatened, you're actually amplifying the very thing that you don't want. So I'll do it visually for you. Let me find something I can play with. So say, for example, this is what I don't want. I don't want to feel threatened. I don't want to feel challenged. I don't want to feel rejected. I don't want to feel like a failure, right? But over here is another thought that actually exists at the same time that this other thought exists, right? And this other thought is, I want to feel calm. I want to feel safe. I want to feel confident. I want to feel grounded, right? Let's go one. I want to feel calm, right? I want to feel calm. I don't want to feel threatened. I want to feel calm. I don't want to feel threatened. I don't want to feel threatened. I don't want to feel threatened. While I'm focusing on this, what am I not focusing on? Yeah? The very thing you want. So you can't have the very thing you want when you're focusing on the very thing you don't want. So when you say, I don't want to fail, you're not focusing on succeeding.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is redirect your focus, right? And all you do is you say, thank you, brain, for reminding me for the 1,000th time today what I don't want.
Yeah.
What is it that I do want?
Do one.
And that's all you have to do. Now, it sounds simple, and it is, but it's not easy.
No.
Because our default system is to be on the lookout for threats, right? And so you've got to learn how to tame this thing called the brain. We're born with a brain. It's like a puppy dog, right? When you buy a new puppy dog, it makes a mess all over the place. It barks whenever it wants. And over time, you train it to do as you wish, yeah?
Yes.
So your brain's exactly the same. It's going to play up. It's going to bark. It's going to send you messages that have you feel a little bit, scared or under threat. However, it's doing its job because he actually wants you to be safe. But it's not a way, you don't want to live constantly looking out for threats. What you want to be doing is saying, thank you for reminding me what I don't want. What is it that I do want? And the second you do that, you're starting to look forward towards what you want. And you're starting to, remember, where focus goes, energy flows.
Energy flows.
You're starting to manifest, create, draw to you the thing you want instead of attracting more of what you don't want because you're giving that focus.
Yeah, I think Tony Robbins used an analogy, Josie. He said something like, if you continue to look in the rear vision mirror, you're going to crash and not focus on what's in front of you. And, you're a massive advocate for gratitude. And even in difficult times, we can always turn towards gratitude and what we're grateful for. How has gratitude played a role in your life?
Mate, gratitude's a central part of life. Every morning it's the first thing I say, and every evening it's the last thing I say. Like even in the middle of terrible things that can happen in life. Like I lost a very, very dear relative fairly recently, and it felt like my heart had been ripped out of my body. And in the depth of my despair, I could look up to the sky and say, thank you for allowing me the privilege of having someone that loved me all my life. Because
Yes.
I got to know what that unconditional love was. And I will not settle for anything less now, you
Yeah.
know. And the other thing that I learned from that grief, like from grief to gratitude, is that grief actually opens the heart, it breaks the heart open for a greater capacity for compassion towards yourself and even
Yeah.
towards other people. You know, so when people misbehave towards me or they're mean or a bit unkind towards me, I can't help but think, wow, I wonder what's going on in their life for them to be projecting that way towards me. So
Yeah.
instead of taking it personally, I pray for them. You know,
Yeah.
I've just got another opportunity to pray for someone and hope that their life gets better. I don't need
Yeah.
to react.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting because I had a Tim Thomas, one of my friends, he was on the podcast just recently. He wrote a beautiful piece, which he sent to me when my father passed away. And it was a poem called The Last Gift. And part of the message in there, the pain that we receive from our loved ones passing on is their last gift. And he used this as a way for him to cope and get through grief. But it was interesting, if that loved one was looking down upon you, how would they want you to live your life? They would want you to use that fire and, push through discomfort and adversity and live a life through fulfillment and love and benevolence. And it was just such a really interesting poem. I'll have to send it through to you. Yeah. With people, I guess, that have sort of, have fear of failure and self-doubt, what is some of the things that you would sort of recommend in for that person to do, or what are the steps that they should do?
Okay. So the opposite of fear, right? What do you think it is?
Opposite of fear. Um, Not scared, not fearful,
So
not
what is that?
apprehensive.
Yeah, what is that? This is a
Uh,
tricky question.
yeah,
Mm.
opposite fear. I don't know. Hopeful.
The opposite of fear is love.
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're in fear, you're not in love, right? So if I'm fearful of failure, I'm not loving myself. I'm not backing myself. I'm not believing in myself. I've abandoned myself. I have forgotten who I am. I have forgotten what I stand for. Because if I actually knew who I was and I was connected with my truth, how can I fail? Right? Seriously. The other thing that we forget is that we are never alone. You may not have a lot of friends around you. I notice as I get older, my social circle is getting smaller and smaller, but my faith is getting bigger and bigger. And
Yeah.
I know every single day that I have a massive invisible army at my disposal. And if I ever feel alone or threatened, all I have to do is remember that I am the ocean. I'm not just a drop, I am part of the ocean. So when
Yeah.
I feel like I'm alone, I'm only thinking I'm just a drop in this major world around us, and you can feel so lonely. But when you remember that it's actually part of something huge and you're part of that and you connect into that, whew, you get
Yeah.
all the support you needed, but in a different form. And so getting back to when you lose someone that you really love in your life, we still have to experience grief. We still have to fall on our knees and feel the pain and the grief of the loss. And eventually, what happens is that grief alchemizes into gratitude. But we're still humans, we still have a heartbeat, and we're here to experience everything.
Yeah.
And so, the more deeply you experience these feelings, the more quickly you're going to like flow out of them. But unless you
Yes.
experience them, they create a block and they don't go away. They get bigger. They get bigger and
Yes.
bigger, and you start building walls around you, and you start not letting people in because you're scared you're going to lose them too.
Yeah. Yes. It's fascinating, Josie. The human brain, it's a pretty remarkable piece of machinery. We have this 2 million year old brain that is just all it's doing is just protecting us. We're in survival mode. What are some of the courses or even the degrees that you have, especially when talking about neurochemistry in the brain, and how have you used that throughout your journey and even your practices with your coaching?
Yeah. So I came across the neuroscience back in 2008 before it kind of became real popular. And I actually had the privilege of going to the very first neuro leadership conference in Asolo in Italy. And as a consequence of that, I fell totally in love with the science of understanding not just how the brain works, but understanding the application of that. Why do we do what we do? How do these habits have so much control over us? How do we actually change for the better sustainably? Like, how do we build our free will? All of these questions. And I wanted to understand the science because I've always had that analytical brain. So maths and science has always been something I love. So I ended up doing master's studies in neuroscience of leadership, and I use that in all of the work that I do, because what I found, if people can understand that some of these loops and patterns that they're stuck in life are simply habits and patterns that have been hardwired into the brain, but more importantly, we can rewire the brain. And I can show them
Yes.
how to do that, right? In a way that they understand how it works. And it's like, oh, okay, it's a program. Oh, it's become unconscious because I've done it over time so many times that I'm not thinking about it anymore. So let's create a new one, right? So it just allows people to get into that front seat of their life and their brain. And this is what spurred me now to, in 3 weeks' time, actually, I'm running an online masterclass to teach as many people as I can how to get in that front seat with a 2 hour masterclass.
It's fascinating. It really is. I find it so interesting.
Yeah.
And the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And I think the daily habits and practices that we do day in, day out has a profound effect, not just on our mental outlook, but obviously being able to attract positive things in the future. Um, as far as past failures and mistakes, how do you think that can be applied, for people that are, I guess, really going through some struggle right now?
Okay. So I would reframe the way you look at those experiences. They're all experiences, yeah? If you label them as failure, right, then notice what that feels like. Notice the energy of that use of language. It's very contracting and it feels negative, yeah? There's nothing positive about it. It doesn't insinuate that there's been growth. What did you learn from that experience? Yeah? It's an experience. Call it an experience. Okay, you stuffed up. Okay, you didn't get it right. Right? But what did you learn? How can you grow? What can you do differently next time? It's an opportunity and an invitation to grow better,
Yeah.
not bitter, right? So if you keep looking at it as a mistake and yourself as a failure, you're not growing, you're getting bitter. But if you look
Yeah.
at it as an opportunity or a stepping stone to learn more about yourself and more about life, and then you do something different to improve, now you're getting better. Yeah? And
Yeah.
I've seen you do this so much, and I really want to acknowledge you for the tremendous growth that you've had. Like witnessing your evolution and where you are today makes me feel so proud of who
Thank
you are.
you.
Well
No,
done.
thank you very much. Coming from you, Josie, that's very nice of you. Thank you. It's a pretty remarkable journey that you have been on, and I think I think Jim Carrey said something. He said, "Life doesn't happen to you; it happens for you." And your failures and your past mistakes are just learning curves for you to evolve and become better. And how do you look at life differently now with everything that you've been through up until this point? How do you look at life now?
I look at life as a gift. Every single breath, every single moment, every single day is a gift and a bonus. I don't take it for granted. Last year's the latest experience in hospital where I physically died, and had an experience of saying goodbye to my family was excruciatingly painful. So this time now, being given another chance is a privilege, and it's one that I'm not going to waste. However, I've got to say that my life feels like right now, with everything going on in the world, it just feels like I'm going through a whole new metamorphosis. I don't know, I don't know how to label myself or what I'm doing or what I'm going to do or what I'm called to do, because I feel like everything is changing. And that's all part of just letting go of attachments, letting go of identity, and just being of service for the greater good.
Yeah, yeah. How do you manage, I guess, with all the noise that's happening and then obviously trying to focus on what's happening with you and just trying to sort of calibrate, and navigate your way through this thing we call life. It's a very difficult position, especially if you've got a lot of internal battles that you're dealing with. How do you sort of separate the two?
I don't think you need to separate it because everything's connected, yeah? So what you experience outside of you is only a reflection of what's already going on inside. So if you see a lot of battles out there, if you see a lot of disharmony out there, you need to kind of stop and reflect like, what are the battles going on inside of me that I therefore see it outside? Like I see a lot of beauty outside, I see a lot of harmony outside. I don't tune into all of the negativity in the news and bad news stories. I don't want to know about it,
Yeah,
actually. My job for me is to amplify the good, amplify what is actually good in the world. And there is actually a lot of good in the world. I don't buy into the fear mongering. I don't buy into a lot of the negativity that's going on around the place. I know that there is terrible things going on in the world, but I pray. I pray for peace. I pray for love. I pray for harmony. And I pray for people to awaken to the fact that they're just hurting themselves. When you hurt someone else, you're hurting yourself. And I
yeah,
think a lot of people are waking up to that now.
yeah. And I think also, you can be informed, but you don't have to be inundated. And I chose consciously a long time ago not to watch the news because it just didn't make me feel good. And we're sort of in a position now where there's a lot of outside influence that can really affect our internal world. And what are some of the practices that you do other than meditation and mindfulness? What other things do you do? You said you practice gratitude and, obviously, focusing on what you can control and what you can't control. But what other things do you practice?
So if I find myself getting triggered, just 3 breaths, like literally notice your body. Your body tells you straight away that something's not feeling right. So before you say anything or do anything, just consciously take 3 deep breaths, like belly breaths down into your belly, and then make a sound when you exhale and just settle down that nervous system. And if you can do that, it just calms you down, and that calm will give you clarity. right?
Yeah.
And now you can choose how to respond instead of react. The other things that I do on a daily basis are just small acts of joy. Like I love doing a little walk in the morning. I love sitting outside in the sunshine and having my cup of tea every morning. I love journaling, right? I love spending time with my dogs. That makes me feel good. I love laughing at baby videos when they're laughing because that brings me joy.
Yeah.
There's lots of little things. I appreciate beauty. So I can look at trees or I can look at, nature is a really great grounding tool. And putting my bare feet on the grass every day and literally grounding myself and sending any of my worries down into the earth and letting the sunshine, pour its light all over me. So I start to feel lighter and brighter every day. So these little
Yeah.
doses of joy are really
Yeah.
important.
It is. I think I really appreciate what you just said, and it is. An easy thing to do is to just stop and actually look at your surroundings and actually take in the ambience, whether it's the sunshine or the wind. Um, so I guess a question that I'd be very interested is someone that's having difficulty in finding their purpose. Whether it be starting a business or if it's having a better relationship with their partner or their family, what would be some advice that you would give that person?
Well, if you're feeling a little lost in the world, it's because you've lost yourself. You're out of touch with yourself. So, to get certainty in your life, you've got to reconnect with you. Reconnect with who you are, what are you passionate about, what are you genuinely interested about, what what service are you here for? Like what matters to you, right? Stop trying to please and appease everybody else because you're never going to do it.
No.
But if you can get to that heart-centered place that says, you know what, I'm here to share more love in the world. I'm here to brighten someone's day. It doesn't have to be this massive, great big goal, right? It could be something as simple as I want to help people smile, right? I
Yeah.
want to bring a smile to someone's face today. You know, whatever it is, you can do it. But reconnect back to you because the more certain you are of who you are, what you stand for, and what's important to you, the more certain your purpose in life will become.
Yes. And what do you think are the most important, I guess, from a philosophical point, when we're talking about things that are minuscule, we don't really need to worry so much about because people do tend to fixate on things that don't really matter. So, what do you think is the one thing that I think people can sort of really remember, other than gratitude? But what else could they do?
So if you find yourself worrying about everything, I think the thing that I've got a lot of people to do in my coaching is make a worry list. Write down
Mm,
every single thing you're worried about right now, but write it down with your hand, like no typing, writing. And as you dump all of this onto a piece of paper, you start to look at it and go, am I serious? Really? And then you also start to see some categories of things. So you start to be able to put things into perspective when you can see it visually and take it out of your head. It's not as overwhelming, right? And then once you get the list in front of you, go, okay, what one thing, if I tackled it today, will make a big difference to me? So you start on paper prioritizing it, just one thing. And as you tick that one off, then you go to the next one. So, what one thing now will make the biggest difference to me if I start to tackle that? Just break it down. Don't get so
yes.
overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And have you done the whole ice baths? The ice bath trend is going on, and I'm a big advocate for what I call voluntary adversity, putting yourself into uncomfortable positions because it has such a profound effect. So the act of doing something that's difficult, I don't enjoy the actual task at hand. It's the after effects. As much as I don't like getting into a cold ice bath, it sucks, but I feel so much better after. It's kind of like if I go lift weights, 80% of the time I never feel like going to the gym, but I always force myself to go to the gym. And have you dived into the ice baths and some of the things that people are doing online?
I have cold showers.
Yeah.
So that's my version of doing it every day because I do know the benefit that it has to our nervous system. And so I haven't actually tried an ice bath yet. I haven't had that opportunity yet.
Are you going to give
Um,
it a go?
oh, absolutely, I will.
Yeah.
But the cold water is actually really, really good to reset the nervous system. I hate the cold, right? But I forced myself to get into that cold shower, and now it's not so challenging, and my
Yeah.
body was so invigorated by it.
It's interesting. It's just the act of doing something that's difficult. It just has such a profound effect. And would you agree that whether it be doing a hard, strenuous gym session, it's not just so much the physical side of things, it's more the mental side of things. And you said that it always starts with the body. So strong body, strong mind, or would you start with the mind first and then the body?
Let's put it this way. A lot of times people know what they ought to do to get better, but they don't necessarily do it. So there's a difference between desire to change versus commitment to change. Yeah. So I always check in with someone and say, well, why do you want to do it? Do you really want to do it? Like if the why isn't big enough, you're not going to do it. So you've really got to start there. If you really don't care whether you do it or not, you're not going to do it, right? So you've got to get to the point where it's like, what's on the other side of the challenge for me? What would the benefit be? Well, how would my life be different if I could only overcome this resistance and actually go and do that thing, right? And once you see the benefits of it, that's why if you remember when we did coaching, I always asked to say, give me 12 reasons why doing that is something you want. And the reason I say 12 reasons is get beyond the obvious, what you know. I know it's good for me. I know it's going to improve my lifestyle, blah, blah, blah. Because if it was that simple, you would have done it. But when you push to get that number 10, number 11, number 12, they're the real whys. They're the
Yeah.
reasons that are going to get you up out of bed when you've got nothing left. When you want to just roll over and go, nah, I don't want to do it today. They're the whys. And when you can see that really clearly, you're going to be compelled to back yourself and to push through the resistance, yeah, and to go
Yeah.
and, yeah.
I was listening to Andrew Huberman, and do you know who Andrew Huberman
Yeah,
is?
that's
Yeah,
right.
he's a fascinating individual. He's so interesting. He said that there's a part of the brain that grows when you do something that's difficult or something that you don't want to do, whether it be doing an ice cold shower or ice bath or a strenuous workout. This is like a muscle that you train. And I sort of ask people all the time that it's doing difficult things is what it's counterintuitive, but it makes you feel better. Like I always feel better after I've done something difficult. If I've accomplished a task that was challenging, you feel so much better.
Well, like I said before, there is no growth in our comfort zone,
Yeah.
right? We only grow when we get uncomfortable. And sometimes we don't want to be uncomfortable. We much prefer to be in our comfort zones. We much prefer to be in familiar territories or environment, but we don't grow, right?
Yeah.
And when we're not growing, we're not living fully.
Yes. Have you coached children before, Josie?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What
And
what
they're just
how
delightful. They
yeah,
teach
how
me
would
more than I teach them.
yes. How are children different from adults? And how I mean, because I think sometimes we do forget our inner child, and it's good to kind of bring that out. So, but how have you coached children, especially because children, they have such this warm energy and they're so playful, but we sometimes forget that they're the kind of little people that I guess have that different aura with regards to life.
I do a lot of work with kids with cancer.
Yeah.
And these kids have been through a lot. They've lost limbs, they've lost their hair. And every time I see them, no matter how sick they get, they still manage a smile. They still manage to have fun. They still manage to be creative. They don't give up. Like there was this beautiful boy. I'm not allowed to have favorites, but I do have one. And he had cancer in his feet, or one foot, and he had to have part of his leg amputated. But they didn't know how much would have to be removed. So anyway, he went into surgery, and he woke up, and his mother was there, and she was, very tearful. And he looked down at his legs, and he could see that he had a stump from his knee down on one leg. And he looked at his mum, and he said, "Mum," and she said, "Yes, son." He said, "The cancer's gone." Like, come on.
Yeah.
As an adult, we would be whinging and carrying on that we've lost a leg, right? And this child was like, "Mum, the cancer's gone." And then after that, he was like, "Josie, I'll give you a race up to the post box." And there was this like incline where they were staying. Well, he was having treatment, and he had a prosthetic leg put on, like a bionic leg. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to beat you. Don't even try." He beat me. I couldn't
Really?
do it. Yeah. And then, like, it had been a couple of years since I'd seen him, and there was a barbecue one night, and this kid was there. But I didn't recognize him because his hair had grown back and he'd got taller and he looked a bit older, and this kid comes up, running up to me, and he wraps his arm around me, and I'm like, "Who are you?" And I genuinely didn't recognize him. And he told me his name. I said, "No way." He said, "Yeah, it is." I said, "Nah, I don't believe you." And then you know what he did? He pulled up his trousers, pulled off his leg, and he goes, "See?"
It's amazing.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, we do. We sometimes forget that as adults, don't we? What do you think is something that you wish schools would integrate into curriculums, whether it be meditation and breathing exercises for children to learn, especially, regulating their nervous system and how to sort of manage their emotions and, what are some of the things that you wish school would teach children?
I think there's a lot of schools now doing mindfulness and a little bit of meditation, which is
Yeah,
awesome. The thing I would love to see schools adopt is more training in compassion.
yeah,
There seems to be, we're a multicultural country, and there seems to be, we need to learn to embrace diversity more. And I think if we can learn to, if we can teach our children to be more compassionate, there would be less friction in the school grounds.
yes, yeah.
And
Yeah, definitely 100%. It doesn't matter what race or nationality, you are. There was this video that I saw on Facebook of two toddlers running towards each other. One was an African American toddler, and then the other one was a Caucasian toddler. It just tells you that, love and kindness, it doesn't matter what race, just being compassionate and empathetic. And I think people are always afraid of what's different. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. It doesn't matter what sexuality you are. I totally agree. I think compassion is one of the few things that I think should be implemented in schools. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And meditation. So what kind of meditation practices have you implemented? Because there's so many different forms of meditation.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm a meditation teacher, right?
Yeah.
Um, And I've done transcendental meditation. I've done mindfulness-based stress reduction. I've done all sorts of meditations. So
What's transcendental meditation? What's that?
that's
Yeah.
where you find, well, you sit in quiet and stillness and you repeat a mantra in your mind. So it gives your brain a point of focus through a mantra that you repeat in your mind.
Yes.
And so therefore, if noises are happening or distractions are happening around you, you're giving this one mantra all of your focus, and then all of the rest just melts away. So there's many different ways of doing meditation. It doesn't need to be this cross-legged, macrame
Yeah.
meditation. You can
Yeah.
actually do meditation while you're engaged in a hobby that you love. Anything where you find yourself losing track of time can be a form of mindfulness, right?
Yeah.
And meditation. And so I think there's so many ways that you can tune into it.
Yeah. What's your favorite practice of meditation? What do you like?
I love dance. I love
Dance?
static dance. Yeah. I put
Yeah.
on my favorite music and I totally lose myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
It
care.
is.
I close my eyes and I'm gone. And
I
then
love
the
that.
other one I love is drumming. So I do a lot of drumming.
Drumming.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like, are we talking about like, with
Djembe,
okay,
djembe.
right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And music has a profound effect too with, just the way you feel. Um, do you practice meditation with music, like listening to whether it be, or even just the ambience, whether it be the sound of crackling fire or, the crash of the ocean? Do you,
Look, I do. There are sounds that resonate more for different people. Like, I don't like, personally, I don't like the sound of running water because I feel like I want to go to the bathroom all the time. So it doesn't relax me at all. It never has. And
yeah,
it's my preference. I don't like it. I like white noise, like, like this or crackling of fire.
yeah,
Uh, and I do like listening to relaxing music. So, but I can meditate to nothing. I love meditating in nature, listening to birds, smelling the earth, listening to the rustling of the leaves in the trees.
yeah,
Um, I think what's important is it's not a one size fits all. Do what feels good to you. Yeah.
yeah. And who would you say have been some of the most influential people in your life, great mentors? I'm a big advocate for personal development, and I've had some fantastic mentors over the years, yourself included. But who has been a role model and a mentor in your life?
Gosh, I've had so many and for different reasons. Like, you know, my uncle Bob, who passed away a couple of years ago, and my parents have been mentors for what unconditional love feels like. My children have been incredible mentors for me to actually know what it feels like to give unconditional love. Yeah. Um, Michael Singer has been amazing. He's an author who has written a couple of profound books about surrender, and
Mm,
those have really helped me a lot. I've really appreciated the work of Elizabeth Hayes and Wayne Dyer as well, have been profound mentors for me. Um, yeah, and my dogs have been amazing. The cancer kids have been
yeah.
incredible. So I guess there's mentors around me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, a Shaolin monk, up on top of a mountain. It can be anything, can't it? Yeah, you can find mentorship in different people and different things, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And some of the most influential people on the planet have, been through adversity and discomfort and have hit rock bottom. And, they're some of the most kindest people I've ever met in my life. And I think the world needs more of that. We need more empathy and compassion. But what else do you think is lacking in the world right now?
I believe that love is always the answer. Love doesn't separate. Love doesn't reject. Love doesn't judge. I think this world needs more love.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And there's different forms of love, isn't there? But when you describe self-love, what do you think self-love means to you?
Self-love is self-care. Looking after yourself, putting your needs first.
Yeah,
For a long time, I put everyone else's needs first, and I'm continuing to pay the price of that with this nervous system condition that I have, which is a consequence of, burning out over many, many years. So, I've learnt now that we really do need to take care of this vessel that we're gifted with. We only get one.
yeah.
And if we don't take care of it, it will check out and then game over.
Yeah, it's just feedback, isn't it? It reminds me of that plane analogy. They say when you're on the plane, you put your own oxygen mask on before you help other people. And you're right, you have so much more to give when you're feeling good. Putting yourself first is not a selfish act. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Getting you right, you're able to give so much more and help so many other people. And you must get so much joy and gratification in what you do. And how did you stumble into life coaching? How did that eventuate?
I was working in learning and development for a large mining company, and I was about to have my second child. And back in 2000, life coaching was new. And quite a few of my friends had seen this ad in the paper, become a life coach. And they cut it out and sent it to me and said, Josie, you would be really good at this. And I thought, what's a life coach? What? Nah, So I put it away. But this ad kept appearing. And so I decided, okay, I'll go to an information night and find out all about it. And I went, and every hair on my body stood up. And I went, okay, time to pay attention. And I thought, well, I can't afford the training, right? And then within weeks, my grandmother passed away, and she left every grandchild exactly the amount of money of this training course. And
Wow,
so for me, that was a sign. I did the course. I quit my job with BHP, and within 2 weeks, I had a full coaching practice, and I never looked back.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And have there been some memorable moments throughout your coaching, people that you've helped along the way that have just completely transformed their life?
Oh my goodness, it's countless. I
Yeah.
can't even begin to tell you how many. And the joy that I achieve just through their joy, through their happiness, through their achievements and who they become is such a privilege and such a gift for me to be part of that journey.
It's amazing. It really is. And what do you hope in the near future? Because you've made such a huge effect on so many people around you. So, say for example, in the next 5 years, what do you hope to bring to the or add to the world?
I hope to bring greater courage and faith
Yeah.
and love to this world.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a religious person?
I'm very spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You believe that there is a higher power?
absolutely. There's something
Yeah.
bigger than us at play in everything, and we're part of it.
Yeah, yeah. The documentary, The Secret, a fascinating documentary about the law of attraction and you are what you attract. Has there been countless moments in your life that that has played a role in who you are today.
Absolutely. And it's funny, like you say, you are what you attract. I think it's the other way around. You attract what you are.
Mm,
So if you
yes.
turn around and you think, wow, how did I attract cancer? Why would I do that? Well, actually, the lessons that came out of that was exactly what this soul needed to learn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
therefore, I get to teach others.
Yes. And do you believe, that you can, whether it's a successful business or if it's attracting a romantic partner, you can manifest that? Are you a strong believer in that?
I think the first and most important relationship to get into is one with yourself.
Yeah.
When you can love yourself the way that you want to be loved, it will be inevitable that you attract that love into your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing today is that love is becoming transactional. And if
Yeah.
people can become transactional with somebody else's body, they're going to be transactional with their heart as well.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting. We're in a situation where we're in this Facebook, TikTok world, and people, I guess, do sort of have a self-belief, that this is my life, this is how it is, but behind closed doors, it's a different outlook. I think social media is great. You can use that, you can leverage it, but it also has a deleterious side to it as well. What do you think? Do you think social media is net positive or net negative?
Well, it's such a it's great for connecting people, right? But you're not getting the full story. You're not getting the whole picture. You're only getting what people feel comfortable sharing, and if people actually, and I remember you posted a very vulnerable video some years ago, and I remember watching that, and it just touched my heart so deeply. And it actually had a tremendous response. Do you remember that one?
I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
A lot of people turn away from things like that because they don't want to feel resonance with it, because they don't want to feel their own pain, their own hurt. And it takes tremendous courage to just drop the defenses and say, well, actually, I'm going to let you in, but I'm letting you in from a framework of, I don't want your pity. I just want you to see me, and I want you to appreciate the courage it's taking for me to reveal myself and to let you know that I'm on a mission to improve and to
Yeah.
get better, right? It's not
Yeah.
a woe is me story. No one wants to see it or hear it.
Yeah. I think there's incredible power and effect that being vulnerable can have, and the impact that you can make. Someone that obviously, is authentic and truthful and honest, it just has such a huge effect, a ripple effect, and you just never know the impact that you can make in someone's life. And, you're obviously on social media, and you post these very resonating posts that I think are just fantastic. I read them, and yeah, it's some of it it's very deep, you know, and you're just expressing who you are. Like some of these posts, like you're talking about gratitude and kindness and things like that. It's amazing. How do that just comes through you?
And I talk about death, I talk
Yeah.
about loss, I talk about grief, but I also talk about the resources that you can build to cope with these things.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference. Like, I don't just bring up a topic that's difficult, I actually offer up resources to enable and empower people, in moments like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. And you also your two kids, I'm sure they must be so incredibly proud on everything that you've accomplished so far. And what is some advice that you could give to the parents, especially, in raising children in a way that gives them the sort of support and that self-esteem, because sometimes children can have imposter syndrome. They feel like they're not good enough, and you've done a remarkable job on your end as a parent. But what would be some advice that you could give to the parents out there?
Look, I was a tough parent, like I didn't let my kids have mobile phones until they were teenagers.
Yeah.
Um, at night time when I went to bed, I'd turn the internet off, right? We had technology-free Sundays growing up. So even when they were at uni, when it came to Sundays, there was no technology, no phones, no TV, no nothing with technology. So every Sunday night was games night. And
I
so
like it.
they were allowed to invite as many friends as they wanted over, and we'd have a barbecue, we'd all eat together, and then we'd play games. And we'd start like at 5 o'clock so that the kids could all be gone by, 8:30, whatever. Um, and sometimes they had assignments to get done, and they go, "Mom, I need the internet." And I'm like, "You should have planned it. We don't have, technology on Sundays." So they'd go to their dads, or they would just, do other things. But, I had boundaries, and I had healthy boundaries, and I modeled by my own behavior. So if
Yeah.
I was at the table, there was never a phone at the table, right? And one of the things I insisted on is that we always had dinner together in the evenings. So I don't care what you do during the day, do whatever you want, but you're home for dinner. And then obviously, they get older, they go out with their friends on a Saturday night, that's fine. But Sunday night was games night, that was not negotiable. Friday nights and Saturday nights, they usually, had friends, did their thing. So you need to give them some space and trust with very clear parameters around. In order for me to trust you, I just need to know where you're going to be or who you're going to
Yeah.
be with, so that I have an idea, right? I don't need to know details of what you're doing or anything like that, but I just don't want to worry, right?
Yeah.
So you have this negotiation. And I remember there was a time when I had a lot of anxiety when my daughter hit her teens. And, this is the age where a lot of kids want to stretch their wings and be independent and do things that are a little risky. And it was really tough. And I remember one day I went into a room and I said, "I need to apologize to you because I've been seeing you as a problem, because come weekends I get anxiety worrying about what you're going to get up to next, and I don't give you a chance to be you. But in order for me to do that, I actually need something from you so that I can be calm and I can
Yeah.
be sure that you're okay." And we just hugged, we cried, we established a new, ground rules, and things got a lot better from there, you know.
Yeah.
I respect who they are as humans. Like, I love meditation, and I always give my kids opportunities to do things that I'm doing. So, I might say, "Hey, Harrison, I'm off to meditation. Do you want to come?" And he's beautiful. He's like, "Mum, you do you, and I'll do me." And it's so respectful. And I just laugh and I go, "You know
Yeah.
what? I get it. Thank you."
Yeah, yeah, but I like what you said with regards to having a games night, and Sunday was no phones or technology, and we can really kind of reflect on past experiences or emotions that we've had in that particular time. I can think of countless times, whether it be I've just sort of been in the environment in a rainforest with mates or camping, and just learning to be present in that moment. I don't think that's bad parenting at all. I think quite the opposite. It brings the family closer together. You're able to connect. Do you think also this is something that people, I guess, could try and implement in their day-to-day life? Have a day where, for maybe an hour or so, if they're catching up with friends, just leave your phone away and just be present.
Look, I grew up in an era where we didn't have the internet, we didn't have mobile phones, we had landlines. And
Yeah.
Sundays was, you go to church, as a family, and then you go visiting. You go visiting friends and family.
Yeah.
So I wanted my children to have some kind of experience of that connection with nature, connection with people. So we would go for drives and throw a frisbee. We'd go to the beach. We'd just totally switch off, and it was wonderful. But I started that at an early age, so it just became how we rolled. It wasn't
Yeah.
something new I tried to introduce later on in their lives where you have a lot of trouble. I I do get triggered when I'm out walking and I see a toddler in a pram with an iPad.
Yeah. It's a
Because I'm
worry.
like, wow, look at this nature. Like I remember my kids in the prams and strollers and I used to go and I used to stop a lot and I used to go, look, 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 and I'd show them different things. And it
Yeah.
got to the point where my daughter, she didn't even know what she was saying and she'd just point at anything random and go, look, 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 and
Yeah.
it was wonderful. It was innocent and it was fun, you know.
Yes.
Whereas what I'm seeing is parents on iPhones, children on iPads, kids in the playground saying mummy, 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 or daddy, 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 and the parent is distracted on a device. And it's like these moments are never going to be
No.
retractable. We're never going to have this opportunity again.
Yeah.
Please be present because if you want to be present in their lives later on, you better be present in their lives now.
Yeah. I think kids these days, Josie, just have no clue. See, I was born in 1986, so I saw the evolution of social media and, I remember very well, having to go to the video store and rent out movies. And I used to love that. I used to absolutely love that. But I think now times are changing. Everything can happen so instantaneously. You want to watch a movie, you can log online and, you can watch a movie on Netflix, or if you order something off Amazon, it'll arrive the next day. And I think it just has such a powerful effect on just being present and focusing on the now. And it comes back to that question, where focus goes, energy flows. And, we can't change the past. We can't really so much predict the future. All we can do right now is just focus on the present moment. And those times are priceless. And I'm sure that, I don't think your kids would sort of resent the fact that you said, Sunday night is for our time to connect as a family. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, look
Yeah.
at the time. There were times where they didn't like it, and some of their friends would go, what? Really? I'm glad you're not my mum.
Yeah.
Until they come over to games night and go, wow, I wish I did this with my family, you know. So, and we still play games, when we get together. So it's a lot of fun. It's great.
It is fun. Did you have some fond memories of, your children and them growing up?
Oh, many, many. I mean,
Yeah.
we went through tough times as well because, their dad and I broke up when they were 6 and 8. And so, it was tough, but we got through that. And I'm really proud of the wonderful, kind-hearted humans that they are today.
Yeah. You must be incredibly proud.
Mm.
Yeah. Pretty amazing, Josie. Very amazing. And what are you currently working on at the moment? Have you got anything going on?
At the moment, I'm going through my own metamorphosis. Everything's up in the air, everything's changing, and I'm surrendering. I'm surrendering everything I've done, everywhere I've been, everything I've achieved, and allowing the new to unfold. I don't know what it is, but all I know is that I'm here to serve, and it will be made clear when I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is the legacy that you would like to leave on the world?
I think my greatest legacy is to love one another as you want to be loved.
Yeah. I love that.
No matter where you've been in your life, you are always worthy and deserving of love.
Yeah. Love heals all. Hey, it
Yes.
really does. Yeah. Josie, it's been an absolute pleasure to sit down and talk with you. and you really are a remarkable person, and everything that you've achieved, but more so just the impact, and the people's lives that you've changed. You're on the socials. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I've got a website, I've got free stuff that I release every month if you get on the newsletter list. And I've got this online masterclass in a few weeks. So be sure to book into that.
And what are you going to be discussing in the masterclass?
So that is all about the brain science and how to get into the driver's seat of your life. So in that 2 hours, I'm going to smash it out and show you how to become the creator of your destiny and your reality.
Amazing. I'm definitely going to tune in for that one.
Great.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Josie, for your time, and I'll chat to you soon.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Josie. We just shot, I think, just a little bit over an hour. That was fantastic. It was really good.
Good.
Yeah,
Great.
that was amazing.
So can you send me the link so I share it with everybody?
Yes. So
Make sure you tag me.
100%. I think I follow you on Instagram actually, so I'll be sure to sort of tag you in Instagram and Facebook and things like that. Are you on Instagram much?
I don't monitor Instagram.
Yeah.
My assistant does. So you
Okay.
can tag me there, but tag me on Facebook and I'll see it.
Yes, no worries. And the beauty about this software is you can use AI, so I can sort of upload little snippets and clips. So I'll probably release this podcast in the next few weeks,
Okay.
and I'll be sure to tag you and send you some links as well. I can even send you them through on WhatsApp. Because I
Okay.
think WhatsApp shoots everything in high definition, so you'll have high definition copies as well.
Beautiful.
So that's something that I've been doing on the side as well. I've been quite enjoying it, actually, putting like little reels together. But
Great.
if you've got like any videos, maybe ones of you on television, or you speaking in a large group at an audience,
Yeah.
if you've got anything like, you said you haven't done an ice bath, but anything like that, I can use that and sort of edit that and put it into a little clip.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah. So if you've got anything like that, be sure to send it through. That'll be great.
You did so well. You did so, so well. Thanks,
Thank
James.
you. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I'm sort of new to the whole podcasting. I've done about, I think, 14 episodes now, and I've had some pretty amazing guests on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty amazing because I love talking to people. I love learning about where they've come from and their adversity that they've had to overcome and how they are who they are today. I just find that
Wow.
just fascinating.
That's great. All right,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But great to talk to you, James. Can I
Thank you very
log off?
much.
I click on
Yes.
leave?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll disconnect us. Yeah.
Okay. All
All
right.
good. Okay. See you,
Soon, James.
Josie. Bye.
Bye.